it's hard to see. And it's hard to see it line up. We're in the real world. You know, it's hard to see. It's not something that's easy for an installer because he's right down on top of it. And to him, it looks like it lined up pretty good, but it could be off a little bit. Who's telling him whether the lines are being straight across there? Your worker with you, if you have one, which mostly you do. So you're saying, which way should I go? I'll go up a little bit, go back a little bit. Well, he's the most untrained person that's on the site. You know, you're dependent on him to make for sure you got all your lines lined up. That's why the only way to do that and do it right is by stretching up and stay nailing, stretching up and stay nailing, then come back and run your seam. All right? So I think most of you, who here doesn't know how to check for a bow and a skew and a pattern elongation? Anybody here that does not know how to check for it? Because I think most of you guys have been through that part of the training that we've had before. All right? The hardest part on checking for is this type of carpet here is checking for a skew. And the reason is because it's really tough to know you're going straight across here. So if you want to check for a skew on this, open it up. Get yourself a pole. If you open it up, then you can sit there and open it up and make sure you're going through the same row all the way across. And I should get my other thing here real quick. What's that? Ink pen. Did somebody say an ink pen? No, I'm not using an ink pen. The best to do with that, let me find it here, is either a comb. It's like a screwdriver head here. Is another one. And see now, I can sit there, and it's opened up, and I can sit here and run this row all the way across because it's opened up for me. Because to tell if this has a skew, if you're going to sit there, all right, so I just opened up a row. Now I'll take my pole out. Now you can do this for your seam too. Now I'll take my pole and I'll check, because now I can run a line on there and see if it's straight or not. Now I can get my square, run it with a pattern, because I couldn't tell if this had a skew to it or not. But you can see it does. See what I'm saying? You can see now that it's not straight with a pattern. It's got a skew on me.
Well, sitting up like that, how do you know that's not a
Because I'm running straight across the pattern here. All right?
But you're assuming that the pattern is straight this way.
Correct, that's what I'm saying. If I'm straight here and it's not straight there, somewhere along the line, something's cocked. But an installer, when he goes out with that, he's going to go out, he's going to, and it's very difficult, even though they check it here, they're checking it on the cutting machine. And if you don't open it up and you get a straight pattern going across, you can't tell if it has a skew. Not on a piece like this, it's very easy. A piece like this, I can tell if it's I'm seeing something like this. That's a bigger pattern. But a little half-inch pattern like this, that's busy like this, I can't look at it and say, until I go to put it together. Once I start to put this together, it's going to fight me, you know. So, you know, I'm one that is, let's say, first thing I do is I sit there and I look at a pattern and I introduce myself. I go, pattern, we're going to either have a good day or a bad day, and I'm about to find out. You know, because if it's running and it doesn't have a skew or a bow to it, we're going to have a good day. If it has a bow or a skew to it, we just might have a bad day, you know. And you don't know until you check it out. You know, the order I do is, first of all, when I get a pattern, is I check for what's called a pattern count going across the width. And how many guys here have went and ran your row, went to run the row on one side, went to go on the other side and find out the pattern's missing? You have to come in a whole pattern. Does that happen to anybody? Sometimes. Speak up. This is an informal class. Just ask questions, have fun, and do it. But so if it's telling me I've got a 12-inch pattern repeat, and I do a pattern count going across, and I measure, make sure it's 12 inches. It's 12 inches. I know that carpet needs to be 12 feet, and for me to have all my pattern in there, so it needs to be 144 inches. Plus, it better give me some trim, because I can't use the factory edge. So it better be about 12 foot, at least a half inch.
But it's never 12 feet long. Usually like 11 and a half.
Okay. All right. So if you measured your pattern, and it's exact 12 inches, and you have a carpet that's 11 foot 11, you're going to have to come in a pattern, are you not? Do you have to come in a whole pattern?
Yeah.
Does that happen to you very often?
Not a lot.
Not a lot? Okay. But if it does, that is a manufacturer defect. Because if you have a room that's, let's say, 23 foot 11 inches, and the salesman goes, okay, 2 shots, boom, boom. And all of a sudden now, you got to come in 12 inches, you don't have enough carpet. You're short. You're going to have to order more. So that's the first thing I check. I check to see the size of the pattern. Because see, maybe that pattern is because it's 11-11. Maybe it says it's a 12-inch pattern, but it's actually an 11-inch and 3/4. Where you go that 12 times, that's going to give it to me where that will work. All right? So you can give yourself take away a lot of headaches if you know that right off the bat. You know, if you do a pattern count, measure across, see that the patterns fit in the width that it tells you it fits in. All right? So that's the first thing I do. I'm going to find out if it gives me what I'm supposed to do. Now, if the room was 22 foot, then I can proceed. Yes, I have to come in. Yes, they made it short, but I have enough material to come in that pattern. I can make this room work. So don't automatically say, hey, you know, it's manufacturer defects in the back. We're not telling you that. We're telling you that check that out, know your sizes, check your room sizes of your room, and see if what you have can be trimmed in to make work. All right? So that's the first thing I do. I do what's called a pattern count. Then the next thing I do is I'm going to find out my pattern elongation. And the reason I'm going to find out what that is that's going to tell me which piece I'm going to stretch to which. Because I get called in so many times to go look at a job, glue down especially, but even stretch in, where the guy will lay 2 pieces down, or even 3 pieces down, and what he does is he tries to stretch the longer piece that has the pattern elongation to the shorter piece, and that doesn't work, especially in glue down. You need to know which pattern is growing to know which one to stretch to which. All right? We've sort of taken this piece, and it's been sitting here for a little bit, and I've stretched this, so when we let go of this is going to be my long piece, because I've stretched it to make it long, because the pattern was hitting pretty good. So when I go to make this seam, I know I've got to stretch this now to match that one. I can't take this one to match this one because this one's longer.